Douglas Murray. I mean, Joe Rogan and Dave Smith really, really missed his point over here. Totally missed his point. Have no clue what he's saying. Let's look at this and let's see if we could touch up their common sense over here.
No, there are plenty.
No goods were kept out.
There are plenty. How many have you? There are plenty. How many have you been to the crossing points?
No.
Have you been? No.
When were you last there at all?
I've never been.
You've never been.
Never been.
Well, am I not allowed to talk about it now? I've never been to. Have you ever been to Nazi Germany? Are you allowed to have feelings about them?
You can't time travel, but you can.
Right.
But you can travel.
Okay, but so what? So what's the point? Like,
No,
okay.
I find that
Lots
very...
of people have been there and agree with me, and lots of people have been there and agree with you.
Yeah, but
so
if
I don't
you're
know what
gonna
the.
Okay. A lot of people have been there and agree with me, and a lot of people have been there and agree with you. That's not the point. That's not the point, David. David, this is the point. You are influencing hundreds of thousands of people. I believe so. Maybe I'm wrong, but I believe you're influencing at least tens of thousands of people, and they're relying on you, and they're relying that you have the information, and really you're relying on people that are relying on somebody else that read an article that article is relying on somebody else's article and relying on somebody else. So basically all these accusations that you're making, which are really, really terrible accusations, it's all, nobody knows the truth because you're just relying on somebody else. Let's continue a little bit.
Spend a year and a half talking about a place. You should at least do the courtesy of visiting it.
All right.
I wouldn't use the word courtesy. It's not like a courtesy, but it's a responsibility. I think it's a responsibility.
I just think this is a non-argument.
You don't
but
think?
Okay. No, I think it's a non-argument.
But if you're an expert,
Well, you have to go and touch the ground. To
no,
be
I
able
think
talk
you have
about
to
it?
see. I think it's a good idea to see stuff, particularly.
You don't have to go touch the ground. Yeah, but yeah, it is a good idea to see stuff. If you are claiming that Gaza is a concentration camp, that there's hunger, and that there's, all the things that you're saying, it's a very good, and you're saying that this is like Auschwitz. You should go there and actually see, yes. It's very important that you get your information right and that you're not just relying on things. I mean, research is a very important thing.
If you spend a career talking about something, yes. I have a journalistic rule of trying never to talk about a country even in passing unless I've at least been there.
Okay.
It's a sort of normal, it's a normal thing to do. You're talking about, you're talking about crossing points. And not only have you never been to a crossing point in either Egypt or in Israel, but you've never even been to the region.
The region.
Okay. Again, I think this is a non-argument. I don't understand.
No, it's not a non-argument.
Yeah, it is.
It's not a non-argument if you're insisting that you're an expert of some kind,
At least,
or not claiming you're an expert, but still talking about it.
At least you're influencing a lot of people on this. And you're not being responsible to give them the right information. You're telling people certain things about Israel, which you're relying on other people. Those people are relying on you, and it comes and by the bottom line is they're relying on somebody that's relying on somebody else. That's not responsible.
About the provisions going into Gaza or not. If you've never seen any of this going on.
That's
So
true.
you're not
That's
allowed to
amazing
speak
to
about
me.
things that you've read about. You can only speak about things that you've seen with your own eyes.
You can
when
talk about what you want, as you're proving. But that is a different matter from spending an awfully long amount of time.
also showing that you care about it so much. You really care about Gaza. You really care about all this. And people are relying on you, and you're showing that you care about it. You never really even bothered going there and seeing it. That's a big deal. It's very important for the people that you are influencing to know this, that you don't really care, and you haven't done the proper research.
Talking about an issue in a region you haven't even had the courtesy to visit, whilst developing all of these views about it. I mean, now I slightly get an idea of where you're coming from. You've read about this blockade, and so you imagine that that's what it is. I imagine you've read all the people who say that Gaza was a concentration camp, and you probably think that too. Am I right?
I mean, again, literally a concentration camp? It shares a lot of similarities, I would think.
It shares a lot of similarities, right? Yeah. People are walking like skeletons, dead bodies all over the place. Yeah, it shares a lot of similarities. No, it doesn't, Dave. No, it doesn't. What kind of similarities does it share? What are you talking about?
Think.
Wow.
You would
Well,
think.
as I say, you can't time travel
Let's go
back to the
back to the
Nazi
block-
era.
let's
but
go
you
back to
could
the
go
blockade.
to the Middle
Okay.
East and actually visit it.
Okay,
It's
the
not
World
hard to
World
do.
Bank said in 1996 for the one
Now the
year of the
libertarians
blockade.
are quoting the World Bank. I love it.
It doesn't mean anything. This is a non-argument. Yes, I'm saying the World Bank did their own analysis of this, and they said that it was a 40%
your
of the,
own analysis.
Hold on. You
Jesus,
got to
sirs.
stop interrupting
Okay.
and let him finish
I
the
will.
sentence.
the
Fire
World
away.
Bank said that 40% drop in the GDP of 1 year due to the blockade. And there's
And that makes it a concentration camp?
been a blockade from 2007 on. So are you saying that this hasn't had an economic effect? Is that the argument?
No, of course it'll have an economic effect.
So you're saying
But-
you have to be on the ground and do an audit of the blockade
No, no.
in order to be able to
I
comment
think
on
you
it?
should at least know what it is, what the territory is, what the situation is in the region. Yes, absolutely.
And the only
Absolutely.
way to do that is to be there in person.
I think that's the best way. It's not the only way, but it's the best way, for sure. For sure. If you have never seen the countries in question, you've never spoken to the people in question, you've never interviewed anyone, you've
Very
never
true.
gone around, you've never seen the terrain,
Very, very,
and
very
so
true.
on, and you've used Wikipedia, I'm sorry, no, that's not the same thing.
Okay, well, I've not just used Wikipedia, but didn't you write a big piece when the war in Ukraine first came out titled something like, I've been to
Okay.
Ukraine and they can win, they can repel the Russians? So you could go there
was
and
in the
still get it
beginning.
wrong, right?
No, I was with the Ukrainian armed forces in 2022 when they were retaking territory from the Russians.
Right, the last
Yes.
time they had any advances, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
I said I can see how they can win, which would be advances like that. Yeah.
You said if we just fund them, or if we just
No,
arm
no, I
them,
didn't
that
say
they
that.
can then
I said,
they can
I said
repel.
that the Ukrainian
Anything.
army was
Okay.
making great
Anything.
successes, which it was when I was
David?
with them.
The point is, you are influencing a lot of people, and it's very, very important that you do proper research, and not that the people that are relying on you are relying on a person that's relying on somebody else. That's not the right way it should be. In any case, wish you all a great day.